Hi, I'm Pedro Moreira da Silva, and I'm the staff product designer working on the Duo Workflow project. And I want to share with you today some prototype that I put together to try to exemplify what the enhanced human in the loop could look like, to try to account to all different situations that we have right now that users are struggling with, to approve the plan, to make adjustments, to ask questions. So let's take a look at what it could look like. So this is a plan in the beginning. It's planning, as we can see here, for this task to create a code for dark mode. We see that the plan is being generated. We see some things coming in. And at this point, we want to allow the user to either pause the execution or even send a message to Duo with questions or with adjustments that they like to make to the plan, even while it's being planned. So this messaging and pausing can happen at any time. So when I send a message and I click here to send a message to Duo, it's going to show this working indicator. And you notice that it's paused. You see the play button here. It didn't even create the plan because we interrupted the planning step. And I asked what's happening. It described what it was doing at the time, and the execution is paused, as we can see here. So I can click here to resume. It's going to resume the planning, and it created a plan. It gave me a short summary of what this plan entails. And then, as you can see here, this last message is highlighted in yellow to call the user's attention that their input is needed and exactly what is the input that Duo is expecting. And we also see that the state here changes to this question mark needs input, so that we can also reflect this on the list of workflows when there are multiple workflows. So the question here is review the proposed plan. You can ask questions or changes to the tasks. To start execution, select start. So before starting, I'm actually going to ask a question about one of the tasks here. We see remove the last task. Okay, so it is planning again, and it removed the last task. So let me repeat that. So we can see here that this is the last task, add dark mode toggle to site layout. I'm going to ask to remove this task. So when I send a message, it is working. It enters the planning stage again, updating the plan, and it effectively removed the last task. And it came back to the needs input stage. It gave me a description what it did to the plan. And again, we have this message calling our attention to review the proposed plan. You can ask questions or change tasks. Task start execution, select start. So I'm going to press start. And it's going to go into, or actually, no. Yeah, so I'm going to ask a question about the plan. So this message was to adjust the plan, but the user can still ask questions about it. So let me ask a question about how the dark mode toggle component will be implemented. And it gave me an explanation how it would be implemented. And we're still, as you see here, in the needs input stage. And it's still saying waiting for your input. So let's now start. I'm okay with this plan. And it's going to begin running. And we can see here that it's now executing this task. And now we've skipped forward a little bit after it has completed a series of tasks here in the plan. And we're now in this particular one to enable dark mode. So I can, at any point during the execution, interrupt and pause Duo. So I'm going to send a message to, ask what's the purpose of the tailwind config file. And when I sent this message, I'm going to do that again so you can see. So now it's running. When I send the message, it's going to pause the workflow because I interrupted the execution. So in case the user wants to ask something that can completely change the plan, we pause it just to be sure. As you can see here, this task is marked as paused. And we had Duo explain what the tailwind config file is for, and I can continue the execution. So when we skip to the very end, so it completed all of the tasks, we have the workflow marked as complete. We have a description here of what it did throughout all of these tasks. And now we have this last message saying you can ask questions or improvements to the implementation. And as we can see here, we no longer have the play or pause button, but we can still message Duo with questions about what it did or improvements to the implementation. So let's ask to actually revert and get back that task that we asked it to remove in the beginning. So when I click here, I add dark mode toggle to the site layout. It's now updating the plan. We see that it entered the planning stage. It added this new task to the plan, even though, after it was completed. We're now in the needs input stage, and we have the play button here again because there are still tasks left to execute because it added a new task. Updated the plan to add the task to ensure that it's possible to toggle dark mode in the front end, review the proposed plan. You can ask questions or change the tasks to start executions like start. So we can now again continue this infinitively with one workflow, asking questions, pausing it, and continuing and adding tasks and refining the plan as we go along, and we don't have to create more separate workflows to continue iterating on this particular task of creating code for dark mode. So let me know what you think in the comments, and once we get some consensus in this direction, I'm going to share the designs in the issue. Thank you so much for your time.